Hey, I hope you're doing well today. This is this is Editing Your Photos, episode 2. This is part 2 of a series called Editing Your Photos, where I essentially take some of my Instagram followers' photos and I walk you through exactly how I would edit them in Adobe Lightroom Classic. I got a lot of good feedback on the last episode and a lot of people wanted to see me do another one, so this is what we're doing. One thing that I want to make sure that I do with every video I post is just improve. I want to improve my editing, I want to improve my video quality, and I want to improve my audio. If I just keep improving every time, eventually I'll get to a point where I'm happy with what I've made. I got about 300 pictures from 70 people all around the world, so thank you so much if you submitted a picture. Obviously I can't edit everyone's picture on the video because I'd be here forever, but I did look through every email I got and I did actually look at every picture, so just want to say again, even if your picture wasn't selected, thank you so much. I really appreciate it. Just as a quick disclaimer, I don't think I'm the best editor. There's obviously no correct way to edit pictures, but I'm just showing you essentially what I do. Okay, so this first photo is from Lucas from Switzerland, and there's a couple things I want to do right off the bat. I'm just going to center him and do this. This is dope. I really like this photo. I'm going to straighten it because I don't think it's level. Okay, I'm going to go no presets on this one. Up the contrast, up the exposure by maybe 0.2, bring the shadows up, definitely highlights slightly down, whites up, blacks down. Let's go 0.3. I'm going to bring some clarity out of it and I'm going to put some texture back in. I'm going to put vibrance at 15, saturation at 2. I'm going to go into the colors and now I'm just going to slide this up and down to check where my reds are. So we got a little bit there. I'll just bring that up a tad. Okay, so the blues are a huge part of the image. I'm going to bring the blues a little bit towards the aquas, but not a lot. Here's something I know I want to do. I'm going to select the little design on his hat. I'm just going to click this button here. It'll show me exactly what I have selected. I have that selected, so now I can mess with it. I definitely want to make it brighter so it can pop out more. So I'm going to increase the clarity and the texture. I'm going to decrease the saturation because it's like a little blue. So if I do this, it'll become more white. And then I'm going to increase the exposure by maybe 0.2. It's just a lot clearer now. It brings interest to the hat. I like that. I'm going to bring a graduated filter down from the top and see if I can do anything with the sky. Highlights need to come down. Exposure should come down a little bit. I want to bring another graduated filter up from the bottom like this. Increase the clarity. I'll increase the texture too. I really want to draw attention straight to the subject, so I'm going to take a radial filter, drag it maybe about like this. I'm going to make it negative 0.5. Decrease the blacks a little. Yeah, okay, I like that. This next picture is from Yosh from Mumbai. Even though this is JPEG, I still picked it because I really like the way the car looks. I think that a preset could work well with this one. 3 looks like it works pretty well. I'm going to crop it 4:5 for Instagram. I'm going to bring the contrast slightly up. I think the highlights can come up a little. I want the headlights to kind of glow. Okay, and now we go into the colors. I'm actually going to bring the saturation down a little bit. I don't want it to be too orange. I think that would ruin the image. Okay, so just like the last image, there's a couple adjustments I want to make. So first, I'm going to take my adjustment brush again, make sure it's on auto mask, and I'm going to try to grab... Shit, that didn't work. I'm going to try to grab the little logo on the front of the car. Come on, oh, fuck. Increase the clarity and increase the exposure. I'm going to brush over both of the headlights, increase the texture. I'm also going to increase contrast, bring down the blacks, bring up the whites. I want to do something about these wheels. I don't think I want them to be so like orangish. So now that we have these 2 wheels selected, I'm going to bring the saturation down, maybe like negative 20 to increase the whites a little bit. All right, next I'm going to bring a graduated filter up from the bottom, increase the texture. I want to see if there's anything I can do with the sky. So we'll bring the exposure to -2. I actually kind of like that. Same as last time, I'm going to take a graduated filter over the car, try to decrease this a little, maybe 0.5. yeah, and I really like how I was able to bring some of the sky back. I think that it's a nice fade of colors. Okay, next we have this photo from Bryson from Hawaii. First of all, it has a camera in it. I really like that. But I also really like the rain particles. So I'm going to crop it 4x5. I'm going to try to center his face in the camera around the top third. I think I'm going to do this one without presets. Start out by bringing the noise reduction 15, 10, 25. These are kind of just what I do to everything. I'm going to bring the shadows up 25, bring the whites up 25, highlights slightly down, exposure needs to come up a decent amount, maybe 0.3. I'm going to decrease the clarity slightly, but I'm going to increase the texture. Now we can see more of like the rain particles. Vibrance, I'm going to go 15, saturation 2. Orange, I'm going to bring this up, but I'm also going to decrease the saturation. I think that looks good. I think I'm going to bring the greens a little bit more towards the aquas. Yeah, I think it pops better with the background. This image is good already. It doesn't honestly need that many edits. Let's see what else I can do. Since it looks a little bright up here, I'm going to try to stimulate, or not stimulate. I'm going to try to simulate, I'm going to try to simulate sunlight. So I'm going to bring up the exposure a little bit and just bring in some warmth. Do the same radial filter trick, just bring attention right to him. Clarity out, texture up. I didn't change much, but I'm pretty satisfied with how that looks. So this photo is from Mason from Maryland, and I picked this one because I really like the way the trees look. I'm gonna go no presets again on this one. Increase the contrast by 10, bring the shadows up by 15. Texture needs to come up. I actually want to bring clarity into the image. I don't normally do that a lot. Okay, so now we're gonna go into the colors, obviously. Yeah, there's tons like, oh wait, shit, I forgot to crop it. I'm gonna increase the saturation, and I think it would look good if I brought the reds a little towards the purples. Not too much though. Yellows, I'm going to increase. I need a fucking drink of water. The blues are giving us some of the sky back. So I'm going to take those down, not to 100, but maybe to there. And first thing I'm going to do immediately is try to get some of the sky back. So I'll bring this down. One more thing I'll try to do is bring up a graduated filter from the bottom. I want to bring some of those flowers back actually. So maybe 0.2, and that just puts some brightness into them. I will take texture up and clarity up slightly. I also real quick noticed that the left side of the image over here is pretty dark. So I'm gonna take one of these here, increase the exposure by maybe 0.2. I am satisfied with that. Looks good, I think. Okay, this photo comes from Nirvan from Belgium. I picked this photo because I think it does a good job of displaying culture. I haven't actually been able to travel a lot to places outside of the US, so when I see photos that just showcase different cultures, I really like that. So I'm gonna do 4x5 and make it vertical. And I hate to crop people out, but these two ladies are gonna get cropped out here. Let's see, does a preset work? This works well, but I need to tone it down a little bit. Bring the highlights down a little more. I'm gonna bring the contrast to 15, clarity -10, texture 5. Definitely bring the red up, saturation up. I want these to pop, but not too much. Okay, there's a lot of orange, but I'm actually gonna take it down to -30. Maybe put the yellows at -65-ish right there. I'm gonna bring a graduated filter over here. Some of these people look a little bit in the shadows, so I'm gonna slightly, just slightly, I don't wanna make it like obvious, slightly increase the shadows, and I'm gonna bring the exposure to 0.1. Some of this area looks in the shadows too, so I'll bring another graduated filter. We'll go shadows 10, exposure 0.1. Her face is in the shadows a lot more than everyone else's. So I'm gonna turn off auto mask, just paint over her whole face. I'm gonna go back with my alt brush or erase brush, and I'm gonna make sure that feather's on, so it's not just like an immediate cut. I have feather turned up to 100 actually. Now that I have that selected, I'll just bump up the shadows again to 10, and I think that creates a much more natural look. Yeah, I'm pretty happy with that. Great picture. Okay, this photo is from Ibek from New York. Even though this is a JPEG, I still picked it because I really like the reflection. I just think it's a really interesting shot. Bring the contrast up to 0.2, bump the exposure up to 0.5. Bring the whites up a little, blacks down a little. That's a little more soft, so I'll bring the clarity down there. But I do still want some detail, so I'll bring the texture back up to 15. I'm actually gonna change this to -15. Vibrance 15, saturation 2. I just realized I forgot to crop it, so 4:5. Okay, so I'm gonna bring the orange up probably like that, and I'll bring it to -10. I'm actually gonna bring this up to probably 30. There's really good focus on her face. That's awesome. I don't know if that was manual focus or auto, but regardless, that looks good. Here's something I like to do for portraits a little bit. I'm going to erase everything that's not her eye. When you mess with eyes, you really want to be subtle. So I'm gonna bring the clarity up to 25. Exposure, I'll bring up to 0.2. I can tell a difference. It's not that obvious, but it makes the photo look a lot better. Yeah, so I like how that looks. I want to paint this same effect onto her other eye. I'm going to bring a graduated filter up from this corner. Decrease clarity, decrease texture. I'm gonna bring up the exposure maybe to 0.1. Yeah, and actually, when I look at this now, this eye is a lot less bright than that eye. I'm gonna take a new adjustment brush and just go over this eye. I want it to match the other eye, basically. 0.3. Yeah, okay, I like that. I think that matches a lot more. I will do the radial filter trick for this one because we have a person's face. Decrease the clarity. Yeah. Okay, this last photo comes from Andre from Portugal. And immediately, I'm gonna do 4:5. That's a tram, right? I don't have those where I live, but I think it's a tram. I'm stupid, but I'm gonna take that, and then I'm also gonna make it level. So again, we'll go through my presets. I actually think this one does a pretty good job. Shadow slightly up. Exposure maybe -0.2. Contrast will also bump that up to 25. I think I can make this a bit cooler. The sky looks slightly yellow. Yeah, so we'll go 6300, and then we'll change this to -0.1. Okay, there's a couple things I want to do with this. Or wait, we got to go through the colors first. I'm gonna bring up the yellows and bring them slightly back towards yellow, but not that much. Definitely bring the blues up a tiny bit. And now I can get into it. There's a couple things I want to change. Graduated filter from the bottom, clarity into the bottom. I'm also going to take my adjustment brush and paint over just this part. Okay, so we got that selected. Gonna bring, oh, that's so much better. Bring clarity into it, bring the blacks down, but bring the whites up, contrast up. Yeah, I want it to be a bit more yellow, so we'll bring it to maybe 35. Okay, another thing, I'm gonna turn on auto mask for this. I think that if I can bring some exposure back into that, it'll look good. So we'll turn this off. Clarity, 25. Exposure, 0.2. Since there's obviously a central subject, one thing I'm going to do is bring back the radial filter. Probably bring the exposure to -0.4. Okay, let's do that. Yep, I like that. Yeah, I'm pretty happy with that. Thank you so much for watching if you made it this far. I know I wasn't able to edit everyone's pictures on camera, but here are some of my favorite pictures that I edited off camera. If any of these pictures were yours and you want me to send you the edited version that I have, just email me or DM me and I'll do so. I honestly don't know what I'm doing. You know, I'm just doing this for fun as a hobby, this whole photography video thing, but I want to get to a point where I'm actually really happy with the stuff I'm making, and I think I'm starting to get there. So to everyone who submitted me a photo, thank you again. I read through every single email and I really appreciate it. Thank you for watching and stay safe. Have a nice day.